Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you feel like you got a little bit of that common sense that's not so common, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you don't, common sense is a disease that's highly contagious. So go ahead and hit that like or subscribe button and you will catch it, I promise, okay? And today on this channel, we're talking about pending laws that are in Kentucky. Now, we're only getting into the summary of these laws because most of them are only at 25% introduced. But I saw some that were interesting and I want to talk about them. But before we get any deeper into that, remember, I don't have any law training. I don't have any law degree, okay? So don't come for me. And before we get deeper, first and foremost, my name is Key and this is What's the Key?
For me, break for me, break the body for me.
All right, y'all, before we get into it, I know y'all see there's a new plant, okay? Carisha gave me a heart attack of my life. Carisha, I think, is my oldest plant outside of Zah. If it's between them two, it's her and Zah for sure are the oldest plant. She's like the big sister, he's the big brother. Carisha had fungus gnats. Oh, baby. When I say I took her out and threw the whole pot away.
Death to all of them.
Oh, because I wasn't gonna get rid of my baby. I could not get rid of my baby. And she's just now starting to grow a trunk. I could not get rid of my baby. But baby, I threw that pot out. Called my mentor and was holding the plant like I panicked. So I'm putting Carisha here to let her know she's still beautiful. Let her know that people still want to see her and, you know, help her a little bit in growing back and re-healing for what she just went through, okay? But now let's get into it. As always, if you see me looking to the right, I'm looking at my notes, and any bell you're hearing is my cat City doing kitty things, all right? Now, these laws are kind of random, except I did kind of group them in categories after I found them a bit. But as far as even in those categories, the laws are completely placed at random. So the first law we got is going to be known as Kyne's Law, or House Bill 194. Now, I know y'all remember when they said that any law that is named after a person is a bad law. But I think the two that are going to be in here are pretty decent laws to have. So, Kyan Higgins Jr. was a 10-year-old boy who lived with his mom in West Louisville, Kentucky. In 2021, his dumb ass, stupid ass, ugly ass.
Be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
Bitch of a mother tried to cut out his tongue right before shooting him and stuffing him in the trunk of her car, okay? They found out later that animal control had been out to her house 24 times in an 18-month period. And I get your job is animals. But if you have to constantly go to somebody's house or home for any animal control, abuse, any of that, because that's what I believe it was animal abuse cause. You don't think that the actual child that's living there is also experiencing some type of abuse? I'm just saying. So they had been there 24 times leading up to the 18 months before his unaliving. So because of what happened to Kian, they added animal control officers to the list of people to receive training on recognizing child abuse, and also with a duty to report dependency, neglect, or abuse of a child, okay? And this is all now Kian's law. Next House Bill 208. And in this bill, they're going to require local boards of education to adopt a policy to, at a minimum, prohibit a student of a personal telecommunications device.
Oh. Okay.
During the school day with specific exceptions. They're also adding in including social media as a prohibited material and for it to be inaccessible through school technology and provide the scope of social media to be prohibited. I'm not mad at it. This is why I'm not mad at the telecommunication device. All right. It has got to the point on social media where, well, let me start with this. School has become a fashion show. We're getting full down weaves, full makeup and stuff just to go into high school. Why? They don't want to be embarrassed on camera. And that's mostly of what it is. These children have a higher chance of being embarrassed on camera, going viral. And I feel like it is probably changing the atmosphere of how the schools are. People are nervous to be themselves and things like that, at the fear of being recorded because everybody's so quick. They have their phones out, or so quick to have their phones out to record somebody and laugh and et cetera, just to have a viral moment on social media. I think with the way that social media is sort of taking over the young people's minds and how so many of them want to be content creators and things like that, yes, remove them from the school. Allow that to be a safe environment for the schools. They don't need to be on social media during 9 to 5. They don't need to see that right at that moment during the school day that something happened. No, they don't need to see anything that's happening in school. Because sometimes y'all be embarrassing children who don't even want to be on social media like that. They don't want to have their face on social media. Maybe their parents don't want to have their face on social media. And then with the situations with the teachers getting fired from what they're posting on social media about their students or what they're doing with their students, yeah, we need to prohibit telecommunications, cell phones, all that stuff, and social media from being accessible in the schools. I agree with it. I don't see a problem with it. Next law, House Bill 55, and this is to establish a civil liability against a parent, guardian, or other person legally responsible for a minor if the minor causes injury or unaliving by the use of destructive device, explosive, firearm, or other deadly weapon. And then they're going to provide limited exceptions within these bills. So I don't see a problem with that. That seems like that's going for the mass shootings we've been having. That Kentucky is putting that in place. They let you know anything happens to another child because of your child, or not even just a child, of even an adult, anything happens because of your child and things they had access to that they shouldn't have just been freely having access to, you will be legally responsible. I love it. Civilly responsible, not criminally though. Now, Senate Bill 52 requires each public school with students in grades 6 through 12 to display a printed abstract of certain child labor laws, including limited and prohibited occupations and work hour restrictions for minors. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Now, with Gen Alpha and even, Gen Z is kind of older now, but even with Gen Alpha being in school and the way they are, I can see them looking at that and then going to their job telling them to do something like, I can't do that. No, I can't work over. The rules say I can't work over. I don't see anything wrong with it. If the children are allowed to work, they should know their rights. And it should be displayed in places like school where they spend a good chunk of their day, majority of the week. Now, they do have these next two bills, the Senate Bill 19 and House Bill 25, where they are now requiring a moment of silence at the beginning of the school day. And it should be no less than 1 minute, but no more than 2. I mean, looking through the actual bill, they actually in the same law or bill that they're amending, they have the Lord's Prayer being an option. They give them an option. Okay, who was it? Tennessee. They give them an option. Don't say it has to be mandatory. But in the same bill is for that. And I don't see anything wrong with the moment of silence. I didn't see it tied to anything in particular, like religion or anything like that. But anybody could have a moment to reflect on anything, whether that's their own spirituality, their own religion that they support, any event that has went on that they want to just think about, just any moment to breathe. And even if it's just a moment where you're just thinking affirmations, they can make it that way. So I'm not seeing it as because it's not, I didn't see anything crazy tied to it, so I don't see a problem with it. House Bill 163. Now, they're coming at the transgender youth in this bill a bit, okay? Remember I said all these bills are introduced 25% in. Now, they're going to require 95% of bathrooms at school be gender specific. And I don't know if they're doing this to allow schools to start having more neutral bathrooms, or they're doing this to make sure schools don't have too many neutral bathrooms in them. But they are requiring 95% of bathrooms to be gender specific. Go with the gender you identify with. Now, next one is another law that was named after someone. This one is known as Braylon's Law. And I could not find any information on this Braylon's Law. It did have to do with adoption with the state. So the records are probably still, they probably hit the story, press the story, because something crazy had to happen based off what they're adding into this law. Now, this is one that I had to be, it's going to be a couple laws where I got to get I got to know a little more. I want to know a little bit more. Okay? And in this situation, they're going to authorize posthumous adoption. In any pending adoption proceeding under this chapter, the court may enter a judgment of adoption after a child's death upon the motion of the petitioner or petitioner if it happens to the child during the time the child is placed in the home of the petitioner or the petitioners. The court has received the report of the guardian, if any, for the child, and the report is required in the article. A hearing has been scheduled and notice has been given, and the court determines after hearing the case requirements have been met. Upon entry of any judgment under the adoption of this section, all of this applies. Now, what happened? I want to know a little bit more about what happened. Clearly, there's something horrible happened to a child after they were adopted, and the judges could not be involved. Maybe because of a law, they couldn't get themselves involved, so maybe think they were hearing what was going on. But I don't see that being I feel like for a good 5 to 10 years, y'all should be involved, getting reports and stuff even after adoption. I get it's their kid, but you never know with some people. And they're probably also thinking too, with all of the criteria, it seems like they have to have someone adopt a child. They shouldn't even have to be involved after the adoption happens, but this shows that they do. I am so sorry, Braylon, that had to happen after you probably felt good about yourself, was adopted, and then you got into a home that was horrible. Like I said, those are 2 laws that were named after people that I didn't feel like were that bad. Now, granted, they're only 25% introduced. They could be adding in a lot of crazy extra stuff later on. But in this case, with having animal control, learning about child abuse, and having a court being able to intervene post-adoption, I don't find any problem with it. Now, Senate Bill 26 also has to do with child adoption. We're still in our child law section. It states, no petition for placement or adoption of children shall be denied on the sole basis of the disability of the adoptive applicant and enhanced procedures for determination of placement or adoption. They're going to require the secretary to review any refusal of a placement of a child due to a disability, that targeted adaptive or support services to be offered, and that the cabinet retain all documentation for 2 years. No petition for involuntary termination of parental rights shall be ordered on the sole basis of a disability of the parent. And regarding procedures for an involuntary termination of parental rights involving a parent with a disability. I like that. Not every disability is something that is just so life-crushing or something that can't be managed, rather that be with medication or just changing the tools that you have to use around the house. Not that you're not still using some of the same tools, but you're using some more functional things around the house than what you would deem an average person would use. Now, I like that they're reviewing. Hey, look, maybe the adoption agencies don't have that much mental health knowledge, and I'm giving y'all a nice little break there, adoption agencies. What if they don't have that much mental health training? So they just see a disability and they just feel like, okay, maybe in this case, the baby should not go there. Which is crazy because it seems like on both sides, a child with a disability is less likely to be adopted, and then parents who have a disability are less likely to be able to adopt a child. Can't win on either side over there. They're making them keep the records for at least 2 years. I don't see a problem with that. No petition for involuntary rights can be ordered on sole basis. So there were people out here seeing a person with a disability, seeing that they had a child with them, and then petitioning for them not to have the child. Karens. I could say in the Aubreys too, but I'm pretty sure it's more of the Karens. Because what? They were allowed to have the child adopted. They have went through all the procedures and proceedings and criteria that they have in place and passed it to have that child. So why are we petitioning just because you... And I like that they're going to amend the procedures regarding the involuntary termination of the rights, because I guarantee it was something real simple. They had them terminating their rights, and that's not fair. That's not fair. Like I said, every disability isn't something that's just like life crushing and you just can't manage with it, or unnecessarily just because you have some sort of disability, you're bad. Oh, wait, we have one more act that was named the Baby Dre Gun Safety Act. So Andre O'Neal was an 8-year-old boy in Louisville, Kentucky, who was unalived by a stray bullet in 2016. He was at a babysitter's home when a man dropped a gun and the gun went off and it unalived little Dre. Now, during this time from January 2020 to November of 2020, there were 46 victims of a child with a firearm at just one hospital. So possibly now, A person will be deemed guilty of a lawful storage of a firearm when he or she recklessly stores or leaves a firearm in a manner which allows a minor to have unsupervised access to a firearm that is not secured by A, securely locked container, B, a device or mechanism other than the firearm safety designed to render the firearm temporarily inoperable. So you can't just say, oh, well, I have the safety on. The safety switch isn't enough anymore with these firearms. Most children know about the safety switch, so yeah, you need to find another way if you're gonna have it out and exposed, and it needs to be locked in some type of other way. And when you're carrying the firearm on your body, so you can't just have it all loose and all willy-gilly, all exposed and just hanging off your body, because this man dropped it. So how did you drop it? You don't need a firearm. He better be in jail. Next bill, House Bill 74, and this is to define feminine hygiene products. And this is going to require public schools from the grades 4 through 12 to start having free feminine hygiene products available in the restrooms. I love it. I remember my school, they had them, but I believe they were charged like $0.25 in order to receive them, unless you went to the nurse's office, and the nurse always gave you free tampons and pads and things like that. But I love that. And for the people that's like, oh, well, maybe they'll take some and take them home. And what? We shouldn't have to pay for them in the first place.
I said what I said.
So what if they take a bunch at home because maybe they need some? They can't afford them. Maybe the school has a better kind, a kind that's not irritating, a kind that's more comfortable for them. So what if they take a bunch? I love the law. Nothing to complain about. And another thing that they specified in there is it has to be age appropriate. So don't be giving fourth graders tampons. We'll be having pads in their bathroom. Moving on. House Bill 50, and it prohibits a person that is on the sex offenders list from residing within 300 feet of a school, licensed daycare, publicly owned or leased playground. They went ahead and was like, we're going to extend the distance. Nothing wrong with that. I don't have nothing to complain about anybody on the offender list being further away from a place where it's full of child. They also, and I know I didn't put this one down, they also have a new law. I didn't get deep into it, but they are prohibiting people who are on the list from being able to go to Halloween or costume themed parties as well. Ooh, I don't see a problem with that.
Makes sense to me.
Now, moving on to the next category, we're going to get into the cannabis laws. Kentucky is thinking about joining the stoner state gang, okay? Now, with House Bill 106, they'd make a possession of a personal use quantity of cannabis exempt from any civil or criminal penalty. They'll also allow expungement of certain convictions relating to cannabis and to apply the expungement retroactively. Everybody give a round of applause for good old Kentucky. Welcome to the club of not seeing cannabis as a crime. Okay? Because it's not a crime. And y'all know the only reason why y'all were making it a crime is to be able to arrest black people disproportionately. I'm glad that more states have joined the club. Now, House Bill 33 is to remove penalties for possessions, cultivation, or trafficking up to 8 ounces or 5 plants of marijuana. So they're also going to remove those penalties of the people that were caught on the streets being those street pharmacists. They're possibly going to create a law to remove those penalties as well. So, hey, I don't see a reason not to stop those. Kentucky. Next section. In this next section, we're going to get into new laws for the police, new things that they are deeming a crime, and harsher penalties that are being imposed. House Bill 110 impose a duty on peace officers to intervene, prevent, or stop another officer from using physical force that will cause unlawful, serious physical injury, death, or deprivation of civil rights. They must provide or obtain emergency medical assistance, require reporting of the intervention, and provide administrative and legal protections. This requires the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council to prescribe minimum standards for the use of force by an officer and officers' duty to intervene in reporting of police officer misconduct. They require that the action for retaliatory personal actions to be commenced within 3 years. Kentucky said, y'all not about to have us on national TV embarrassed because y'all want to abuse a person that's not of the majority, and now everybody can't stand the state of Kentucky, and then your 3 buddies was standing around embarrassing. This made me think of Eric Gardner. Rest in peace, Eric Gardner. But embarrassing. Kentucky said, it won't be us. Let you know, pending law right now, you will have penalties. Okay, that might be one we need to track and look at for a little later to see what kind of penalties they're going to impose for that. Now, Senate Bill 62. I'm a little person. If you don't know me in real life, I like to go green a little bit. I don't force nobody else to do it, but I like to do it, okay? Senate Bill 62 is going to make it a criminal offense for any criminal atmospheric pollution. So this is looking more at corporations and factories and large factories and warehouses and things like that. Find a better way to get rid of your junk. Moving on. House Bill 68. House Bill 68 provides an enhanced term of imprisonment for any defendant convicted of certain crimes when the defendant intentionally committed the offense because of a person's actual or perceived race, color, ethnicity, national origin, religion, mental or physical disability, gender identity or expression, or sexual orientation. They also are going to create an offense of using hate symbols to intimidate somebody. Kentucky said we not going on national. Y'all not going to embarrass our state. And what's funny is I never looked into the Cadence, Kentucky. And the only reason why I did now is because we got the same nickname. Let me go look at Kentucky weather. Let me look at the population in Kentucky. Because Kentucky giving me more blue than red at this time. But maybe they've always been blue. I don't know why I think red. I think of any state I think that is a little bit country in my mind gives red to me. I think that's my own bias that I have in my head. The more country it could be, and y'all know the country I mean, the more possibility it could be red. But these new laws coming in, they seem like they House and Senate then went a bit blue. If they have not already been blue. Now I could be completely wrong. Kentucky could have always been blue. Okay? Y'all looked it up. Kentucky was red. But I love that they said even any symbols. So your key, your swastikas, your KKK gear, all symbols. At this point, though, the American flag is a hate symbol to me. Oh, all right, next bill. House Bill 124. It's going to require background checks for private sales and define an assault weapon, seller of ammo, and large capacity ammo feeding devices even more. They're going to require the safe storage of firearms. They're going to make it mandatory for the licensee. They're going to establish penalties for if you don't follow this. They're going to require an estate's inventory list for each firearm. They're going to require judges when issuing an order of protection to consider whether that person whom the order is entered should be prohibited from possessing a firearm. They're going to require judges in criminal cases where a person is found not guilty by reason of insanity to demand the surrender of the firearm. And if somebody is found guilty by the reason of insanity, why did we even have to say that?
I need some people's brain cells to start kissing and create a connection so that way we can utilize comments. Blow the dust off of your common sense and utilize it, please.
I don't care if y'all knew they was just using it for a plea. Why did we have to say that? They were found guilty by the reason of insanity. Take the freaking firearm away. They also have that if a defendant is guilty by being deemed mentally ill, that they need to take away their firearm. Again. Some things should just make sense. Well, that's the point of my channel. It's not a highly contagious disease, okay? It's just contagious, y'all. We gotta do a little bit more sneezing and coughing to get the common sense out there. They also require that a sentence for a felon in possession of a firearm be served consecutively to any other felony sentence. They said it's an add-on, not a whiff. Put it at the end. I like it. Moving on, so this was House Bill 83, and this is to oppose the adoption of the red flag law. What is the red flag law? The red flag law means a law under which a person may petition a court to temporarily take away another person's right to possess a firearm, which the respondent may otherwise lawfully possess under the law of this commonwealth. So basically, if a person goes, hey, I don't think this person needs to have a firearm anymore, They can get it. They can tell the courts that, and then the courts can take it away. Now they want to oppose the adoption of this red flag law and any law that infringes upon the right to bear arms. Now, in this they put, because this is another one, I had to get a little nosy in. The police department, law enforcement agency, or officer of the Commonwealth shall not enforce an order under a red flag law when the person against whom the order is directed has a lawful right under the laws of the Commonwealth to possess the arm. So if the person that you're saying this person can't have a firearm with otherwise qualifies to have a firearm, you can't take the right away from them. And the court also cannot issue any order under the red flag law. So this has not have been in there, but they want to oppose that. I think the red flag law shouldn't be you automatically take the weapon. You can take the weapon away. I think a person should be allowed to petition. I think the red flag law should allow the states to further investigate any issue that could be a reason to take away somebody's firearm. So that person that's petitioning needs to give a reason as to why this person needs their firearm to take away. The courts look into it. I think that should be better of a red flag law. I don't think just because somebody said their firearm needs to be taken away, it needs to be taken away. Because if we're looking at cases of abuse, either side, victim or perpetrator, you don't want the perpetrator to get it taken away from the victim. But you want the victim to be able to petition and say the perpetrator's doing this and these are firearms to take away. Y'all see what I'm saying? So I don't see anything wrong with that one. Next bill, House Bill 97. This one will establish the offense of traveling. Yo, I like this one. I love this one, okay? It will establish the offense of traveling into the Commonwealth. And I also love that they call themselves the Commonwealth. But it establishes the offense of traveling to the Commonwealth to commit a sexual offense, provide that no person shall be convicted of this offense in any offense, okay, that is specified under their code for any sexual offenses for a single course of conduct, provided that this section is intended to be a separate offense and shall be punished in addition to the violation of the crimes, provided that traveling to the Commonwealth to commit a sexual offense is an offense itself. So they said not only the offenses that you committed, you're going to be deemed for coming into our freaking state and to commit the offense. Oh, that's an offense within itself. And you will be punished for that. Because who the hell said bring that over here? Kentucky said, not in our state will you be embarrassing us. And they really trying to work to protect the children and people who aren't of the majority. I'm messing with Kentucky. I like y'all. I like y'all, Kentucky. See, I know with the initial KY, y'all had to be something good. Y'all had to be something good, okay? They should do that with any offense. If you don't live in Kentucky, you come in our state to commit an offense. It's an offense to have committed to come to our state to commit an offense on top of the offense you committed. All right, y'all, last one in this police section. Now, this last one is related to House Bill 96, and it's related to the orders of protection, and they're redefining coercive control and stalking, okay? It's amending the definition of domestic violence and abuse. And this is to include a coercive control of a family member or a member of an unmarried couple. They're also amending the definition of dating violence and abuse to include coercive control of a person with whom the perpetrator is or has been in a dating relationship with. So they kind of expanded that definition. They probably are at coercive control only on somebody that you were married to, and clearly not of a family member, because now they're adding into it. I don't see a problem with that truth. I think that is all part of domestic violence. So I don't have any complaints, argues, gripes, anything. Keep going with that one, Kentucky. No reason to stop it. Now, this new law is a little bit law for the employers. For the employers and the employees. Now, House Bill 128 prohibits an employer from considering or requiring disclosure of a prior criminal history as part of the initial job application. They have to wait until they're either selected to an interview or a conditional offer is made. Now, this does not prohibit them for being able to place on the job application that, hey, that particular criminal offenses cannot be involved in this job, but they cannot ask for them on that initial application. And it's called Ban the Box Act. Something, I think was after that. For the most part, I know it's Ban the Box Act. This is one that had me like, yeah, it sounds good. But if they still have the ability to search for their criminal history just after the interview and stuff, do they think that like maybe in the interview's case, or I don't know. Do they think that people can start like, a little bit of finesse during the interview to the point that they won't care about the criminal history? Because I feel like in some jobs, some things just, it doesn't matter. You can't have them there if they've done this offense before. But I wonder, like I said, it's only 25% introduced, so more could be added. I wonder if they're going to add in jobs must specify the type of crimes that cannot be committed, have been committed in order to work and stuff, and maybe provide justification as to why those crimes will stop somebody from working. But I feel like without that kind of net that I just mentioned of making them list out particular crimes, and they can still, after the interview, before the conditional offer, just search them, see a criminal history, and deny them. And then now you're just wasting even more time, these people's time, in my opinion. So, like I said, 25% introduces, still has a little bit of work to do. House Bill 107. This prohibits the disqualification from benefits for workers unemployed as a result of domestic violence and abuse, dating violence and abuse, sexual assault, or stalking. And why was they so... Sometimes laws are so strict that you're like, is a robot working this job or is a human working this job? Okay? Yes, those situations I just named are all situations where someone might have to say, I need a new job, I need to move out of the area, I need to move quickly. Humans, if we have humans working this job, I understand procedures are in place, but the point of having a human working this job is to use a little bit of your empathy. It's to use a little bit of your sympathy. God, y'all were denying people's benefits because they quit their jobs, but y'all weren't deeming that an important enough reason to quit y'all jobs? Like, it must be nice to live so good. This bill will also require the Secretary to provide training to personnel who process claims related to DV or the dating violence and abuse, sexual assault, or stalking, and to report to the Legislative Research Commission annually the number of claims paid involving all that I stated. So they want to keep a report of how many people got to run. Pretty much. How many people have to keep quitting because of this? How big of an issue? It's like they want to start getting numbers on DV in their state. They're working on children next year. Next year we could be seeing a whole different thing with them working on adults and DV and stuff like that. Now, House Bill 57. I think a lot of people that I see on the internet will enjoy House Bill 57 a lot. This is to create a new section to prohibit employers from publishing job postings for ghost jobs, and to establish a penalty for those violations. And it looked like those penalties were anywhere from $100 to $1,000 per violation. I'm not mad at it. Stop wasting people's time. And I learned the reason why a lot of jobs have ghost jobs posted is to keep people who are currently working on their toes. I can tell you right now, my generation below don't care. Yeah, we don't care. Get the position. Put it out there. Like, especially when you know it's a position where there's a lot of people working in it and you can see them that we need, like, you can always tell. I'm pretty sure people aren't concerned about it. The most that people are going to do is check those postings and make sure that their pay is higher than what you're listing in that posting. Or if you're saying negotiable, now you're going to have people negotiating, like, well, your pay says I can negotiate. I want to negotiate. Moving on. Now, this section is titled Money and Tax Laws. House Bill 46 will allow a winner of the lottery with a gross value that exceeds over $1 million to elect to have their identifying information withheld from public records for 1 year. Now, random, this is another state that said his or hers all the time, okay? But I don't see a problem with it. I don't feel like you should have to post if you won the lottery. It's nobody's business if you won a bunch of money. And honestly, I don't care if it was even half of that amount. I don't think you should have to post when you make a lot of money. Some people have greedy family members. Some people just have greedy people in their lives. Some people just act different when they know somebody has money. So a lot of people don't like to let people know they have money. So it can be exempt from the public record, though, only for 1 year. And I get why. Okay, I do get why they do have to tell people. It's because it is a public thing. So you do have to identify the winners. People know there was actually a winner. But they do exempt it for 1 year. Now, the person can still elect to have their name on there, but this law is allowing them to have a little bit more of a confidentiality. I'm not mad at it. Now, House Bill 26 defines tips and overtime compensation to allow an exclusion from gross income for tax purposes for tip and overtime. Include tips and overtime compensation amounts on employee withholding statement. Okay. taking away from the gross, bringing a little money back to the people. Because, baby, I swear, when you work overtime, it almost feels like you work to give the state more money. Like you're only getting 25% of that overtime that you really was working towards, and not even 50 or 75% of the money that came towards it.
That just makes no fucking sense.
Now, these are some new holidays and little miscellaneous laws I saw. So first, for the people. They're going to have June 19th be the Juneteenth National Freedom Day. Not mad at it. Also, one that has just passed was HR 11, and it's International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And that'll be on January 27th. That was yesterday, as of when I'm recording this. And they need this after that Lake and Riley Act we talked about. I told y'all I was giving concentration camp. Maybe having a day to help people remind people that, hey, there's a lot of the same stuff they was kind of doing before. Just putting that out there. Lake and Riley Act. Go check out that video if y'all haven't seen it. Now, the last bill, Senate Bill 59, had me a little concerned. And allows for religious institutions to develop affordable housing without review if it has been approved by their local government. It's not like I'm waiting for major corporations, for churches to get lawyers. No! Alright? My religious people don't get mad at me. Or y'all could. I mean, that's up to each y'all personal opinion. But it just sounds like a way for churches to make another bit of profit. Won't have to pay taxes on the building. How much are they going to, I know it's going to be affordable. How about we just make laws that help common folk like us, like me and you watching this, get our houses? Instead of making laws for groups and institutions and corporations and entities, how about we make more laws for the regular common folk to be able to just buy a house easily without all these extra hoops? What if you can get approved for an apartment, you get approved for a damn house? You're paying taxes on that house. The government can come, I honestly think once a person becomes an adult in the U.S. at the age of 21, they should just get a house. Some of y'all be like, well, we'll have all these extra houses, people getting married, okay. Then no houses get put back in the market or they get recycled back with the government. But well, I want a bigger house. Okay, then you pay for a bigger house. But I don't see nothing wrong with everybody having a standard house. Instead of these apartment buildings that we're so quick to have just because they make a bigger profit for less space. But y'all, that's all I have today. Don't forget to like this video or dislike it if you didn't like anything I would say. Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Are any of these pending laws a law that you think should be stopped? I personally don't have a problem with any of these going, but do you hear in these laws and be like, I don't like this one, they need to either stop it or amend it a little bit for me to adjust to it, okay? Let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
For me, break, for me, break the body for me.